Hello, good morning. How wonderful to see you. Now, I first heard this story in church when I was 15 years old. Now, it still makes me smile today as I recall the powerful lesson my teenage self derived from this story all those years ago. A lesson I want to share with you today. A newly ordained priest was posted to a small town in the north of England. Now, on his first day, he put on his street clothes and hopped onto a bus to explore the town. When he sat down in the back of the bus, he noticed that the driver had given him about 50 pence more change than he should have. His first instinct was to return the extra change, but then on second thoughts, he figured maybe it was a small token blessing from God. No need to return it. Then again, he thought, no, this was more change than he was entitled to, and the proper thing to do was to return it. But then he also thought of how insignificant 50 pence was. I mean, would the driver really miss it? He decided in the end to keep it. Now, at the end of his journey, he rose from his seat and walked down the aisle to leave the bus. Just before he stepped off, he paused for a moment. Then he turned to the driver and said, "You gave me 50 pence extra change by accident. Here it is." The driver took the change, thanked him, and then asked, "You are the new priest, aren't you?" "Yes, I am," the priest said, surprised. The bus driver smiled and said, "Well, I've been trying to decide whether or not I should come to your church, so I deliberately gave you extra change as a test to see if you would actually act as a Christian should. Since you did just that, I'll see you on Sunday." And with a wink, he shut the bus door and drove away. The priest collapsed onto a nearby bench and held his head in his hands for several seconds before lifting his head heavenwards. "Oh God," he cried, "I almost sold your child for 50 pence. My dear friend, who is watching you? Who is observing your life, measuring your smallest moves and judging you by even your least significant choices? Nobody? Wrong. Somebody is always watching. Your colleagues, your friends, your subordinates, your superiors, your neighbors, your children, especially your children. When you are driving them to school, they are watching you. When you are speeding because you are late, they are watching you. When you use the hard shoulder to avoid traffic, they are watching you. When you do an illegal U-turn, they are watching you. When you jump a red light, they are watching you. When the police stop you for jumping a red light, they are watching you. When you bribe the policeman to avoid the consequences of your improper behavior, they are watching you. To them, you are a grown-up, so whatever you do is right. Why else would you do it? Oh, and don't think you are exonerated because you don't have children. Other people's kids are watching you. Strangers, people you've never met, are watching your every move and judging you by your every choice. There's a lady who comes to my church. I noticed her a few months ago because she was wearing the most striking pair of purple shoes. She's never worn them again since. But every Sunday, I steal a glance at her feet to see what she's wearing. One Sunday, I happened to glance over at her just as she took gum out of her mouth and surreptitiously stuck it under her seat. With that one small act, she went from hero to zero in my book. Imagine my disappointment. So my dear friend, the message couldn't be simpler. Our actions, no matter how trivial, have incalculable consequences on the people around us. You always have an audience, so never stop putting in your best performance. My name is Youngson, and just as I always thank you for watching and listening, allow me also to thank you for paying attention. It keeps me honest. Good morning, Ghana.